on Chick Smooth. My man Chick Smooth is in here. Chicks, I want to be on Chick Smooth shit tomorrow.
So who these academics have been in disagreement lately, and a lot of people have a position that I'm focusing on the wrong people. When I focus on people who have 5 million people on a platform and 4 or 5, different listeners and viewerships, and they talk about violence and they advocate for it and they instigate the violence and they talk about who's doing this and who's beefing with who and who needs to be doing this and who's tougher than who. A lot of people think that my focus is on the wrong people. They like, yo, you focusing on them and not the people committing the crimes, right? And my understanding coming up in this culture, right, I was influenced. Right, I was influenced by the culture. I didn't create the culture. I didn't influence the culture. I was influenced by the culture. So the things that I rapped about, the things that I actually did was because I seen those things going on around me. I seen that the drug dealer was way more celebrated than a nigga that worked at McDonald's. Right? I seen that. I seen the girls wanted to fuck with the dude who had the bands and had all the money and he was hustling in the street and he was tough. That's who the girls wanted to fuck with. I seen those things. That was promoted to me. When you looked at TV, when you listened to the radio, when you seen the movies, those were the people that was promoted as the prominent people that we needed to be like. So we wanted to be like what we saw. Another example is when Lil Wayne and them came out and they was wearing dreads, everybody started getting dreads, right? Because they seen that on TV. Niggas just didn't wake up and say, I'm going to go get dreads today. All over the world, people just started getting dreads because Wayne was the hot person being promoted. So the culture dictated that this was the hairstyle to have. When Rick Ross got hot, everybody was getting beards and bald heads because that's what was being promoted. That was the things when Jay-Z said, we don't drink Cristal, we drinking this, whatever it is. People stopped drinking Cristal because the culture dictated. This what was being promoted. Trends are set not by individuals, right? The trend is set by what is promoted, what is being advertised to people, right? Those are the things that set the trends. So when people tell me that the individual who committing a crime or individual that's these young kids that's 14 to 15 that just out here shooting is shooting because they just want to shoot, I have to disagree with that. If the culture didn't make it acceptable, right? If the culture didn't celebrate you, if we wasn't saying, yo, I'm a savage, I'm a demon, and all of that shit wasn't acceptable, and people wasn't gravitating to them, and these platforms wasn't promoting them like they the biggest things in the world, they would have to change the mindset. They would do what was being promoted. They would say, yo, I want to be hot. Oh, that's what y'all say is hot? I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. So, because when you go to different countries, right, there's different cultures. You know why there's different cultures? When you go to Saudi Arabia, most people are Muslim. It's not because they were just born Muslim. It's because the culture dictates that in this culture, this is what our religion is. This is the way of life here. So people fall into a way of life. It's not the opposite. People don't change the way of life in where they at. People follow the way of life. When you look at the way we dress in our city, it comes from our culture. People started seeing other people dress like that. You seen that shit and people told you that was fly. That becomes the trend. People start doing it, especially children. Children are influenced. 13 and 14-year-olds that's out here just shooting each other and making videos about it and putting it on Instagram. It's not doing it because they just bad people. No, they've seen that type of behavior celebrated. They've watched people get record deals, make a bunch of money. They see all of the people that's doing that shit right there gets promoted. So when you look at these people who have these platforms and they have these big voices and they promoting that bullshit to these kids, to me, they are way more detrimental than a person that's just outside doing it. Because that one person doing it on his block see it, right? But when you take it from his block and you put it on a platform where millions of people worldwide see it and start thinking that's what hip-hop culture embodies, then they follow the trend. It becomes trendy. It becomes the thing to do. And every time, if you look, I told people before, if you look at probably all of the Chicago rappers, and I don't really want to focus on them, but it's really the truth. if you look at most of them, and even a lot of the Midwest rappers now, they are being signed. Their songs are being promoted because they have real beef. Because they have real beef. Because they have real beef, they make songs about the beef they got, and they put the videos out, and they get it signed. These people have, go left. When you get on, go left. These people have shot people. Some of them have supposedly, quote unquote, allegedly killed people. They rob people, all this shit, and they make songs about it, right? So when you make a song about, right? So when you make a song, let's say me and a dude get on a beef on this corner right here. He punks me, smacks me, right? I'm scared. I'm not really into nothing. I'm a scared person. I go home, I wouldn't say nothing about the beef. I probably would never say nothing. I'm scared to death. A video comes on YouTube with me getting smacked. On all these platforms, like, oh, shut you see this? Dude make a song about it. They put it on every major platform. All these major platforms is promoting it. What happens next is my hand is forced. It's no longer, you can smack me and I'm not really a tough guy, go home. Now, you humiliated me in front of the world. It's on major platforms. You gave him a record deal because he smacked me. He talked about it. He got a video up. Everywhere I go, they talking about me. I'm the dude that got smacked. I have to do something at that point. Even if I never wanted to. I wanted to go home. I was scared to death. I'm not into no violence. I was on my way home. I was going to take the smack. I ain't want no violence. But now that you smacked me in front of the world, and these major platforms promoted it, advertised it, gave you a record deal off of it, I have to do something. I have to do. My friends got to do. Everybody around me, supported me, who loves me, have to be involved in this. This is what's happening. This is what we see. This is why we're watching these young kids get murdered on camera for some shit that went on the internet that somebody promoted a beef. Right? So when you have these major platforms, right, and you like brothers, people like DJ Akademiks, who goes on there saying, yo, little Tim needs to slide. Somebody need to slide on little Tim. He looking too comfortable. He ain't worried about nothing. His skin looking good. He learning how to rap now. He promoting the nigga songs. So now somebody became a rapper because, quote unquote, they allegedly shot and killed somebody. Right? Y'all turned him into a rapper because he talked about that beef after he allegedly shot. Now, he don't have no skill level. He's being promoted and advertised because he did some violent shit. It ain't got nothing to do with the music. It ain't got nothing to do that he got talent. So when you tell a little kid, 13 to 14, in the community that's broke, poor, family on drugs, that this is the way that I can get my family out of the hood. You see what he just did? He shot a nigga, made a video about it. And look now, he on there with 10,000, 20,000, he's showing his money. That tells a kid that is the recipe for success. That's what it does. When you utilize your platform that recklessly, what you have done is advocated for kids to utilize violence as a way to success. So of course, the person who commits the act is going to be held responsible, right? But like I say, the instigator, he continues to go instigate. If it's an instigator and me and the dude is beefing on the corner, and the dude is in the middle like, yo, you heard what he said about you? He said he'll smack the shit out you. He said, who would go smack shit? Him right there. No, he didn't. He go over there. Didn't you say you gonna smack him? Yup. You heard him. He was like, whatever. Oh, you gonna let a nigga just say that to you? You gonna let him just smack you and you ain't gonna do nothing about it? He ain't smack me. Yo, hit my hand. Remember niggas used to do that? Yo, hit my hand. He hit his hand. He go hit him. And he hit his hand. Next thing you know, they fight. They shoot. Boom. They get in trouble. They beef is on. The instigator moves along. He do the same shit on a whole nother block. They get in trouble. They might get into a shootout. Them niggas go to jail. They got to deal with those consequences. The instigator politely disappears and goes and instigates way more beefs. Who holds him accountable? Doesn't he play a role in that? Doesn't he play a role in that? Doesn't he have a very vital role in that beef? But nobody holds them accountable. And that's what these platforms are. They are the instigators. They can, listen to me. Nigga can report on one beef today and another beef tomorrow. Right? And the two niggas that's in beef is going to jail. One might die, one might get shot. But the nigga that instigated, he look, I ain't do nothing. He goes off and instigates a whole nother beef and get paid off of it. And gets paid off of it. Promotes that beef, keeps it going, because now their family members and friends is going to keep the beef going and advocate for it to continue to going. So why don't we hold those people responsible? The parent listen to me. Parents you got to think about this. Most of these parents ain't even prepared to be parents. They having kids at 14, 15. They living in the projects. They don't even got a regular job. They living day to day, surviving. They doing the best they can. They just trying to figure out how to put food on the table. The streets is raising kids in our communities. These parents is doing the best they can, but they don't know much. They're not educated. They don't have skill set. Nobody gave them none of the shit it takes to really be an effective parent. So this is why when people say, yo, I'm against abortion, I'm not against abortion, because if you're not prepared to have a kid, if you know that you can't bring a kid into the world and give them a real opportunity at some level of success or surpass you, I don't think you should have a kid. Because what you're doing them is to the same life or probably worse than what you had. If you look at generational trauma, and you look in communities, especially communities of color, poor communities, it's a fucking cycle. If your father went to jail, you know probably 8 out of 10 people, 8 out of 10 people, where that happened, they went to jail. You might be the exception to the rule. You might be the one that didn't go. But there's a lot of people who follow the same they follow the blueprint. You know, and this is some real shit, man. Like, it's just real shit. Man, they have. If you look at the statistics, man. Look at the statistics of people who are incarcerated. Look at the statistic. This is real shit. I want y'all to be in tune. You know, so when we be having these conversations and they like, yo, you can't blame this man for what somebody else is doing. Yes, you can. Especially if you instigating it. You can't instigate no real beef, especially if you ain't even from that. Some of us, that's all we know is street shit. So we've been taught street shit, and we live the street shit because we was taught, yo, you got to be in the street, you got to do this. It's a process. Evolution in the streets is a process. You got to continue to move forward. You grow out of it. You learn more. You like, damn. But somebody who knows better, who never even had to live in the streets, but utilizes the streets to make money off of, who mentally tricks these kids out of their freedom and out of their life, is more dangerous than the kid that actually shot somebody. They way more dangerous. So that's what I'm trying to explain to you. Like, there's a process. Like, I'm just trying to tell you who's more important. You think that's like saying that Jim Jones, who was the preacher who talked these people into sipping the Kool-Aid and killing themselves, wasn't more responsible than the people who actually killed themselves. Yeah, he was more responsible. They believed in him. Some of them people weren't they weren't intellectually savvy. They weren't smart. He preyed on their weakness and utilized them to do some shit that didn't make sense. So when people prey on somebody that's weak, prey on somebody's ignorance, you know, when you do that, you're more responsible. Oh, okay, yeah. So listen, when you prey on somebody's weakness, when you prey on somebody that isn't as intelligent as you are, you know, when you prey on somebody who's ignorant and you know better, and you talk them into doing shit that they don't know better than, you are way more responsible than that individual. I don't give a fuck what you tell me. When these OGs is taking these young kids that's 13 and 14, when they taking these kids that's 13 and 14 and they putting guns in their hands and saying, yo, go shoot this person, that OG is way more responsible than that kid that actually shot somebody. Way more. He's way more responsible. If you hold that kid who don't know no better than this supposedly quote-unquote OG that has been through it, knows he gonna go to jail, and that's the reason why he ain't doing the crime. If you hold him, I'm going to get the car out of there. If you hold him responsible more than you hold a person, you know, if you hold a kid responsible more than you hold an adult person who knows the consequences, knows what's going to happen, knows all the things, more responsible than him, then you're crazy. What's going on, King? How you? You just want...
I'm uncle, man.
You own uncle?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's my nephew. Yeah.
All right. Nice to meet you, beloved. All right. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is for me, man. I want to come back and get more on this topic in a minute. I want y'all to tune back in. Give me about an hour, y'all. Or about 30 minutes. Matter of fact, at 1 o'clock, I'm going to come back. Because right now, I just got my car at the shop. So I'm running around.